Welcome to another episode of Viatorian Voices, Conversations on the Way. This is Pre-Associate Dan Masterton from Vocation Ministry, and I'll be your host for this special episode. In September 2022, I visited Viatorian Associate Dave Surprenant on his family farm in Manteno, Illinois, not far from Viatorian ministry sites in Bourbonnais and Kankakee. Dave and his wife, Viatorian Associate Susan, run a family farm. After decades of continuing the family tradition of milking Holstein dairy cows, the Surprenants sold those 180 cows in 2018 and pivoted to a cow-calf operation. They now breed and raise Black Angus cows. I talked to Dave about the basics of his family operation, trying especially to learn the ways that his family strives for good stewardship. Dave puts it well that he can do something sustainable for the earth, sustainable for the animals, and sustainable for his family. Sometimes two things can seem to be in apparent tension, like science and religion, or in this case, sustainability and making a profitable living. But careful thought and diligent work can show deeper resonance when we are faithful. In this conversation, in addition to hearing some engines running, birds chirping, and cows mooing, you'll hear how this Viatorian models that resonance and finds he can meet a range of goals all at once while living out a vocation that is deeply important to him. Enjoy the conversation.
Usually by the middle of October, I'm starting to feed some stored feeds, and then that lasts sometimes till average is probably April 15th. But I've seen it go to the first week in May, so that's a lot of days you got to feed these girls.
What do you store to feed them when you can't do the grass on the ground?
All these round bales that you see all wrapped up on the roads and stuff. That's mine.
Wow.
That's all basically baleage. It's wet hay. Absolutely the most beautiful stuff you ever saw in your life. So that they get that, and we do make some hay off of the pastures in the springtime when they just can't eat it all. So,
Is that something you do yourself?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, there's the girls are waiting to be moved. So long as their bellies are full, they're happy.
Do they generally stay put?
Oh yeah. So long as their bellies are full.
Right.
You got to remember that. So they're going to go into here today, even though they were here a couple days ago. But there was kind of a wire issue. Okay, girls, Christopher's going to come and move you. See, they know what's going to happen. The one right there, that was born this spring. So there should be about 60 out here of that size. And then like that one right here, that's one was born a couple weeks ago. So we have our spring calvers and then our fall calvers. You'll be moved. You're all right. So everybody's happy and healthy out there. But see, there's 40 4-acre paddocks. So here, and like I said, they're going to go over to here, and we just move them every morning. And even in the wintertime, we move them so their manure gets spread in all different fields. That way you don't have too much nutrient density in just one area.
They can spread it around just by themselves.
Mm-hmm. And if this was the spring of the year, I'd be cutting these pastures. But this time of the year, I just leave whatever there is. And next time they come in here, if it would get real cold, we got a good 2 months yet of grazing. But there's more stuff there.
Do you have to do any overseeding or anything to get the grass to come back, or does it just...
we used to years ago anymore. There's so much seed out there, you don't have to do anything.
It takes care of itself.
All right. And you'll come back, they'll destroy areas. There's one there. See, and they'll stand in one area if it's real hot. That's a stress factor. They all get together and they make a mud hole, basically.
Yeah.
And that'll be totally destroyed. Next spring, it'll be just as green as... It's just amazing. It's just amazing how...
The way the ground can kind of take care of itself.
Yep. And they'll destroy another area next year. When we sold the dairy cows, like this one right here is 119. We traded money, some of the money from the Holsteins to purchase Black Angus, start our herd. And so the older ones, the bigger ones are ones that we bought. The younger ones, like this one here, was born last spring. It's number 10.
Right on site.
Yeah. So she was born. So that's the size difference, and she should be pregnant for next spring. So she'll have a calf. We're still in that phase. There's 110 mother cows out here, and we're still in the phase of what is the optimum size for the farm so we don't have to purchase any outside feed.
Okay.
And so
the farm can feed them on its own.
Yeah. And because I don't want to use a whole bunch of corn and bean acres either, because that's a profit potential too. You got to think about where the money comes from. So right now we're thinking about 130 mother cows, and we've got pasture that would support that. It's the winter time. You got all these bales that we've got.
Feed them for 6 months.
Right.
Is there an optimal size for when you start to mate the mother cows? Or like
about
age?
2 years. About 2 years.
More age.
Like I said, we're almost done our fall calving. I think we might be done. A lot of those were from heifers that probably should have had a calf this spring, but they might have been too small to breed. So nature kind of has its way of working things out a little bit. So they're about 2.25 years old versus normally you want them to have a calf around 2 years.
Okay.
So they should be big enough size. But here again, I'm still learning because these are so different than the Holsteins. I mean, body structure, the mentality of the cows, they're just totally different animals. And it's hard for me to judge, okay, that heifer, I can tell a Holstein cow, okay, she should be bred, size-wise. These guys, they're short, they're stocky. You think they're only 600 pounds and they're closer to 900 pounds. That's a big difference when you come to breed them. No, we're still learning at this, and we got to make sure this whole 160 acres that we've taken out of row crop production is viable, make enough money, so we can maintain and keep this herd. Otherwise, all this fence will be gone. We'll put corn and beans in here.
Right.
You want to do the environment good and be a good steward of the land, and livestock is the best way for stewardship of the land. But you got to be practical too. Our bills have to be paid also.
Right.
We're trying to sell about 100 calves a year off of the farm here. God grows. There's not been fertility on this ground for 20 years. Okay, so no seeding costs. We cut the paddocks in the springtime. Every paddock gets cut. Little tractor, and 10-foot mower. I mean, it doesn't cost us hardly any fuel or anything like that to do that. But we do that one time, all the paddocks in the springtime. So, there's not a lot of expenses, but you still got to make sure you make the net per acre that you can if you just did corn and beans.
Right.
So, I mean, there are things that we look at, because the dairy was our profit potential here. For 42 years, we had a milk check coming in every 2 weeks. Some months it didn't pay the bills, but when you average it all out, so somebody had a nice living. But we're a typical farmer. You have everything in assets. The land is paid for. It's ours. It's worth a fortune, but you can't eat that fortune unless you sell it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You got to make sure you got financial ability to pay your bills and to live.
Was it a tough mindset flip to go from milk and crops to cow-calf?
Yeah. And it's, like I said, we're still learning. Just handling the animal. You gotta remember, the dairy cows were every 2 times a day were milked. For a year though, we did 3 times a day. And so they were used to us no matter what we did. Okay, and you always had a knothead cow, but all in all, everybody pretty copacetic. These guys, you don't handle them that much. So the first year when we bought 50 animals, or 40 some animals, whatever was a starter or seeder group, whoa, these guys were nuts. These guys were wild. These guys would kill you. These guys, if you walked in the pasture, didn't know what to do. I mean, they would run to the other end of the field. Now, let's see where they know they're going to get fed new grass. They're waiting for you. So we've got them trained pretty decent now. And since a lot of these animals now are from our own herd, we've raised them. We have interaction with them every day. I'll come out here at least 2 times a day, sometimes 3 with the 4-wheeler, and just go very slow, just go amongst them so the baby calves know we're not here to hurt them. The mothers know we're not here to hurt them. So a lot of things that we took for granted before, now we have to kind of work at building that relationship with them. Kind of like with people.
Yeah.
You gotta make your relationship work with people too, you know?
You have to predispose them to being used to you guys,
Yeah.
being used to the land.
Yeah. Otherwise, they're a much more feral animal than a Holstein was. I mean, but then if there was a Holstein herd right now and the mother would have a calf, we would take the calf away immediately. We'd let the calf have colostrum from the mother, but within hours, that calf was maintained by us from the day it was born through its entire life. So it knew that we were going to bring the milk to it, we were going to bring the feed to it, we were going to bring, it knew everything. Out here, we move them. I've seen some pastures where stuff is about 2 inches tall, and those cows have nothing to eat. You'd have some major issues with these cows trying to maintain them in this paddock here. But their bellies are full. They just want something better.
And these guys self-regulate. They walk around. They eat at their own pace.
They eat, and then they eat some more, and then they eat some more. Okay, I mean that, and then you'll see them lay down and chew their cud, but then they're going to get up and eat again. Okay, a Holstein is very regulated. At 8 hours it socializes, 8 hours it eats, 8 hours it rests and chews its cud. These guys just seem to eat all the time. And in the wintertime, when you put these round bales out here, it's like, you guys ate that already? What these cows get fed is phenomenal in the wintertime. Premium stuff, dairy quality stuff. I bale hay for some of the neighbors around who do have some cows, and it is garbage I'm baling. I mean, absolute garbage I'm baling for these guys. And my cows get the best of the best, and they still complain. So I'm trying to encourage these neighbors, why don't you grow a little bit of alfalfa and something better for them, and I said, higher quality. They said, they'll eat less. I said, no. The higher the quality, the more they eat. I said, it's a totally different version there. It just, that day they didn't like that, so they're still feeding garbage. and I guess a mother cow doesn't need a lot of nutrients. It's just, ours are just kind of spoiled.
So the paddocks, you were saying, you have 4-acre sets.
44-acre sets.
And so it's like every 40th day they're on that one?
Yep.
And they make a full rotation?
Unless, like in the springtime, when the grass is growing so fast, we'll take maybe 10 out and make hay out of it or something like that. Normally, a good rotation. Dairy cows, we would move them faster, rotate faster, because you needed higher quality. Okay, if I saw a seed head, which they've eaten most everything, but if I see a seed head out there, you're not optimum quality. And dairy, if you want to make milk, had to have optimum everything. These beef cows, it's a little more ranker stuff. It gives them a little more fiber in their gut. I have no stomach issues. If it's really too fine of stuff, you end up with or too quality stuff, you can end up with some stomach issues, whatever. And the Holsteins, you had to kind of regulate that, what you fed them. But it was much better quality than what these guys got. So we would rotate the cows, the dairy herd, every probably 28, 30 days. These guys are more like 35 to 40 even in the summertime. And then we're also very strange, and so we've got center pivot irrigation on this whole 160 acres. And when we were putting the irrigation for pasture, people thought we were nuts. Are you that stupid? You're for pasture. Best money we ever spent. Because that was, at the time, the profit was from the cows, from the grass, okay? And it was the best thing we ever did. And so now we still use the irrigation. We try to get on an inch a week, which is what grass usually takes on a hot summer day. It'll take about an inch of water a week. So I keep very religious records as far as how much water intake we get from the rain versus what I put on, and so we don't want to use the resources any more than what we need to. So
and the irrigation, another way to be sustainable rather than just drawing on. Otherwise,
the normal way guys do it, and I'm going back to the Holsteins because I did it for 40 some years. The cows are locked up all the time. The cows are on cement all the time. They're in a freestyle barn. In these big operations in Indiana there, I mean, they've got 3,000 cows under one barn. 2 barns, rather. But that's, there's 40-some thousand cows in Indiana, 30 miles from here. This is so much better for the soil, so much healthier for the cows, so much less stress for the cows. Yes, you do see some flies on them. That's nothing compared to a cow being on cement all the time. Just, it's very hard on animals. So here, this is good for the soil. It's good for the for the cows, it's good for my pocketbook, and that's how we looked at it. And you got to, you look at this grass out here. There's not an ounce of soil or fertility that has gone into a ditch or into the water stream or into the Illinois River or into the Mississippi River that finally ends up in the Gulf of Mexico. This is about as sustainable as you can get, but it's got to be financially sustainable too. I can't.
And when you're mindful of it, you can do all of the above.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Which is what we're doing on the row crops. I mean, we're doing the cover crops, and we always did do that to a point. I always liked something growing on the ground 365 days of the year. Now you're saying that doesn't happen when it's 20 below zero. Agreed. But if you had something after harvest that you planted, that root system starts then, and that takes nutrients out of the soil, and that saves the soil from erosion and stuff like that. So that's the whole purpose of cover crops, what we're doing.
Right.
And we're going more back to that, and that's a thrust from the government too. They're paying us a few bucks for that, but I've always tried to do that, years past before it was even the thing to do. I'm a different farmer. Unique, strange individual.
Maybe a little Viatorian.
I don't know. I try hard. Let's put it that way. But I've always looked at things, and my father milked 15 cows, 16 cows, and probably all his life. And I bought the herd from him in 1977. And we just kept on expanding. It was not in the pasture like this at the time. I mean, this was all inside, and just like we had hoof problems. We had cows that would, of course you're pushing for maximum production, and whenever you do that, your cows never live long. Okay, and so we went to grazing here in 1993 was our first year we kind of played with it a little bit. We were some of the first in the United States. I'm not saying we were the first, but this type of grazing, intensive grazing, we were some of the first that did this. And it was the best thing we did. All of a sudden your cows, we have old cows. As long as they gave a calf every year and gave us milk, we'd keep the cow around. And something we never had prior to that. So, our longevity is so much better here because it's a natural environment for the cows.
Yeah.
God gave us the sun, God gave us the rain, and I'm going to use that.
The cows seem grateful.
No, not right now. They want to be moved. They just think they're so special.
Is there a time of day when they get moved?
Oh, yeah. They're gonna be, we're going to do that right now.
Yeah, okay.
I'll go turn around.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you to Dave and his family for their hospitality and for giving such faithful witness to their vocation in agriculture and in Viatorian life. Interested in Viatorian association or Viatorian religious life? Those seeking support and accompaniment in exploring God's invitation for them are invited to reach out to Vocation Ministry. Send us a DM on social media at Viatorian USA or email vocations@viatorians.com to start a conversation. On behalf of Brother John and the Viatorian community, I'm Pre-Associate Dan Masterton. Venerable Louis Curbs, inspire us. St. Viator, pray for us. Adored and loved be Jesus.